Have you ever wondered why some men seem to have a magnetic effect on women while others, no matter how hard they try, keep getting ignored, disrespected, or left behind? Before I reveal the truth, let me ask you something. If there were 6 hidden weaknesses that almost every woman carries, weaknesses that, when understood, could change how you approach love and relationships forever, would you want to know them? If your answer is yes, then stay with me until the very end of this video, because the lessons I'm about to share, inspired by the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius and the teachings of Stoicism, won't just help you in relationships, they'll help you master yourself. And when you master yourself, you master attraction. But before we dive in, do me a quick favor. Subscribe to Stoic Glow, like this video, and most importantly, watch until the end. Because what I'm about to share may completely shift the way you look at women, relationships, and even yourself. This isn't surface-level dating advice. This is philosophy in action. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Now, when it comes to women, most men make a critical mistake. They focus on changing her behavior instead of mastering their own. They think attraction is about tricks, lines, or wealth. But the truth is, female psychology has weak points, soft spots, that most men don't notice. And when you do notice them, when you see clearly, you stop being the man who is manipulated and start being the man who is respected. So today, I'll reveal 6 hidden female weaknesses through the lens of Stoic wisdom. Each one is a lesson not just about her, but about you. Let's begin. 1. The desire for emotional anchoring. Let me take you back to a moment you might remember from your own life. Think of the first time you fell in love, the butterflies, the excitement, the way even the smallest text message from her made your entire day. Now let me ask you, do you also remember the first time she cried in front of you? Or the first time she got upset over something you thought was small? Maybe even silly. For me, I'll never forget. I was sitting in a cafe with a woman I thought would be my forever. She looked beautiful, her laughter filling the room. But in an instant, her face shifted. Her mood changed because of something small I said. Something I didn't even mean to hurt her. Suddenly her eyes welled up with tears, and I didn't know what to do. What about you? Have you been there too? One moment she's happy, smiling, loving, and the next she's withdrawn, distant, or even upset. This is the emotional storm that many women experience. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." But the truth is, most people, men and women, struggle to follow that advice. And women especially, being more emotionally driven, often crave one thing deeply, even if they never say it out loud: an anchor. She wants someone who can stay calm when she cannot, someone who won't be swept away by her sudden tears or her unpredictable moods. And here's the hidden weakness. When she doesn't have that anchor, she feels lost in her own sea of emotions. I realized this the hard way. Back in that cafe when she cried, I panicked. I tried to fix it with words, with apologies, with promises. But the more I tried, the more she pulled away. Why? Because I wasn't being her anchor. I was drowning with her. Now let me flip the story. Imagine if, instead of reacting in fear, I had stayed calm. If I had simply looked into her eyes, held her hand, and let her know with my presence, not my panic, that everything was okay. That's what women crave, even more than flowers, compliments, or gifts. They want a man who remains unshaken. Think about your own love story for a second. Do you remember a time when she tested your patience with her mood swings? Did you argue back? Did you lose your calm? Or did you hold your ground? Be honest, because this is where most men fail. A Stoic man doesn't lose himself in her storm. He understands that her emotions are not an attack, but a call for stability. He doesn't shout, he doesn't crumble, he doesn't beg. He stands steady, like a lighthouse guiding a ship in the dark. And when you become that lighthouse, when you master the art of being her anchor, she will never forget you, because you'll be giving her what she cannot always give herself: peace. 2. The craving for validation. Let me ask you a question before I begin. How many times have you sent her a compliment, a sweet message, or told her she's beautiful, only to feel like it went unnoticed, or like she needed more and more every time? Think back to your own love story. Maybe you've been with a woman who seemed to crave attention constantly. She'd ask you, "Do you still love me?" even though you had told her just yesterday. Or she would change her outfit 3 times before a dinner date, not because she didn't look good, but because she wanted you, and maybe the whole world, to notice her. I remember this clearly with someone I loved deeply. She was stunning, confident on the surface, the type of woman who turned heads when she walked into a room. But behind that beauty was a constant hunger for reassurance. Before we'd go out, she would ask, "Do I look okay? Do you like my hair this way? Are you sure this dress doesn't make me look fat?" At first I thought it was cute. I thought my job as her man was to always fill that need, to pour compliments into her heart until it overflowed. But I learned something the hard way. Validation is like pouring water into a bucket with a hole at the bottom. No matter how much you give, it leaks out. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If her thoughts are filled with doubt about herself, no amount of external praise can permanently fix it. It's like painting over a cracked wall. It might look better for a while, but the cracks eventually show again. Now here's the hidden weakness most men don't see. A woman's craving for validation is endless if you feed it without boundaries. And worse, if you give it too freely, she stops valuing it. She'll start to see your words as routine, not as truth. That's why so many men fall into the trap of over-validating, only to realize that the more they give, the less impact their words have. But the Stoic man plays it differently. He doesn't shower her with endless praise just to keep her happy. He gives validation with weight, with meaning. Instead of telling her she's beautiful 20 times a day, he saves it for when it matters. When she shows her character, her effort, her authenticity. That way his words carry power, not desperation. Let me ask you again, do you remember a time when you felt like you were doing everything to make her feel loved, but somehow it was never enough? That's because you were feeding the weakness, not leading her out of it. The truth is this: if you want her to respect you, you must not become just another fan in her audience. You must be the man whose approval means something, because it isn't given cheaply. Validation, when controlled, becomes a gift. But when given without thought, it becomes noise. And that's how you turn her hidden weakness into your silent strength. The struggle with impulse and desire. Have you ever been with a woman who seemed unable to resist temptation? Maybe it was impulse shopping. Maybe it was jumping into things without thinking. Or maybe it was her craving drama and excitement even when life was calm. Did you notice how it felt like she was always chasing something yet never fully satisfied? I remember a love from my own life that showed me this truth in a way I'll never forget. She was passionate, full of energy, the kind of woman who lit up every room she walked into. But she also lived with a restless spirit. If she saw something she liked, she bought it, even if it meant emptying her wallet. If a friend invited her out at midnight, she went, no questions asked. If she felt angry, she shouted. If she felt sad, she cried. If she felt love, she poured it out recklessly. At first, I found it intoxicating. Her spontaneity was exciting, but soon I realized I was dealing with something deeper, an endless battle between her impulses and her better judgment. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." But here's the problem: most people never realize this. And many women, caught up in emotion and desire, struggle even more. Impulse is a weakness because it blinds her to consequences. She may spend money carelessly, test relationship boundaries, or act on temptation without pausing to ask, is this wise? Now I want you to think about your own relationships. Have you ever been with a woman who tested you? Maybe she flirted with another man just to see your reaction. Maybe she pushed your boundaries. Not because she wanted to betray you, but because her impulses overpowered her reasoning. How did you react? Did you lose your cool? Did you chase? Did you become jealous? This is where most men fail. They fight impulse with impulse. She acts recklessly, and instead of staying calm, he reacts recklessly too. Jealousy, shouting, desperate attempts to control her. It all feeds into the fire. But here's where Stoicism gives you the edge. The Stoic man does not fight impulse with impulse. He does not get dragged into the storm. Instead, he stands as the reminder of discipline. He becomes the mirror that shows her how to be steady. I learned this one night when she went out without telling me. Old me would have blown up her phone, demanded answers, maybe even driven to find her, but instead I stayed calm. I waited. And when she returned, surprised that I hadn't lost myself in anger, she looked at me differently. She saw strength. She saw what she lacked in herself, control. Her weakness then is impulse. Your strength must be discipline. Don't be the man who drowns with her when she dives into recklessness. Be the man who waits at the shore calm and unshaken. Because here's the truth. When you master yourself, her impulses can no longer control you, for the fear of losing status. Have you ever been with a woman who constantly compared herself to others? Maybe she compared her looks, her lifestyle, or even your relationship with those of her friends. Did you notice how uneasy she became when she felt like she was falling behind? I'll never forget the woman I once loved who lived inside this constant fear. On the outside, she was radiant. Everywhere we went, people noticed her. But at home, when the makeup was gone and the spotlight faded, she'd scroll endlessly through her phone, comparing herself to models, influencers, or even her own friends. One night, she looked at me and whispered, "What if one day you find someone prettier, someone younger?" That question stayed with me not because of what she asked, but because of the fear behind it. You see, many women live with an invisible shadow following them, the fear of losing status. Status in beauty, status in relationships, status in society. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It is not death that a man should fear, but never beginning to live." What does this mean in love? It means that the true tragedy isn't growing older or losing beauty, it's never truly living freely because you're enslaved by fear of what others think. But here's the hidden weakness. Women, more than men, are often measured by society through the lens of appearance, desirability, and social rank. Deep down, many of them know that time changes these things, and so they cling, sometimes desperately, to the status they believe keeps them valuable. Now let me ask you, have you ever felt her eyes on you when another woman walked by? Or noticed how she becomes extra affectionate in public, almost as if she wants to stake her claim? That's not always love, it's fear. The fear of losing her place in your eyes or in the eyes of the world. This is where most men go wrong. They either feed the fear by giving endless reassurance, or they punish it by mocking her insecurity. But a Stoic man chooses a different path. He doesn't get trapped in the game of status at all. Instead, he shows that his respect and loyalty aren't based on society's approval, but on inner worth. He doesn't chase external validation, and because of that, she begins to see a different kind of strength in him. One that isn't tied to looks, wealth, or popularity. I learned this when I simply told her, "You don't need to compete. I chose you and I don't compare." And then I lived in a way that proved it. Not over-explaining, not over-validating, but calmly showing through my actions that I was steady. Her weakness is her fear of losing status. Your strength is being the man who doesn't measure life in ranks but in values. Because the truth is, when you stand above the games of comparison, she will respect you and sometimes even find healing in you. 5. The inability to handle boredom. Have you ever been with a woman who seemed uncomfortable with silence? Maybe when things were calm, she suddenly stirred up an argument. Or maybe she constantly wanted to go out, try something new, or create excitement because the quiet made her restless. I remember this vividly in a past relationship. We had been together for about a year, and one Sunday afternoon we were simply sitting on the couch side by side. I thought it was beautiful, two people in peace, enjoying each other's presence without needing words. But she looked at me, tapped her fingers, and said, "Aren't you bored? Don't you ever want more?" At first I didn't understand. How could peace ever be boring? But for her, silence felt like emptiness. Calm felt like a void. And that's when I realized many women struggle with boredom in ways most men don't notice. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself and your way of thinking." But boredom often blinds us to this truth. Instead of finding contentment within, people look outward searching for stimulation. For some women, boredom feels unbearable. That's why she craves constant activity, scrolling through her phone endlessly, starting arguments just to feel alive, or chasing drama because stillness feels like death. Now think about your own love story for a moment. Did you ever notice how she sometimes picked a fight for no reason? Or how she wanted you to entertain her, to constantly keep her excited, as if it were your job to be her source of energy? Here's the hidden weakness. Many women can't sit still with themselves. They confuse peace with boredom. And when they do, they unconsciously sabotage good relationships by creating unnecessary chaos. This is where most men make a mistake. They jump into her rhythm, trying to constantly entertain, constantly give new experiences, constantly fill the silence. But the truth is that only feeds the problem. Because no man can compete with the endless appetite of boredom, the Stoic man takes another path. He shows her, through example, that boredom is not the enemy but an illusion. He lives with purpose, not constant entertainment. He knows that fulfillment comes from within, from his mission, his discipline, his peace. When she sees you content in stillness, reading, reflecting, or simply being, you show her a different way of living. You don't rush to fill every silence with noise. You don't chase excitement like a drug. You embody calm. I remember telling her once, when she complained of boredom, "Why do we need more than this? Peace is rare. Let's enjoy it." She didn't understand at first, but slowly she began to see. Her weakness is her inability to handle boredom. Your strength is your ability to turn silence into serenity, and when you master that, she will stop looking for drama and start finding comfort in your peace. 6. The struggle between independence and dependence. Have you ever been with a woman who one day said, "I don't need anyone, I can take care of myself," but the next day, she clung to you like you were her entire world? Did it ever confuse you, this push and pull, this hot and cold rhythm? I once loved a woman who lived in this exact tension. She was fierce, ambitious, independent. She made sure everyone knew she could stand on her own. But behind that confidence, there were nights she would rest her head on my chest and whisper, "Don't leave me, I don't want to be alone." It puzzled me. How could the same woman who fought so hard to prove she needed no one also need me so deeply? And then it struck me. This wasn't contradiction, it was her hidden weakness. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Man is not disturbed by things, but by the view he takes of them." A woman's struggle between independence and dependence isn't about reality. It's about the way she perceives herself. Society tells her she should be strong and self-reliant. Her heart tells her she longs for connection, safety, and leadership. And so she wrestles between these two voices, torn between pride and vulnerability. Now think about your own story. Has she ever pushed you away when you tried to help? Or acted like she didn't need you, only to call later in tears asking where you were? That tug of war isn't about you, it's about her inner conflict. Here's the hidden weakness. She doesn't always know how to balance her desire for independence with her need for dependence. And many men, not understanding this, either become too controlling, crushing her independence, or too distant, abandoning her need for support. Both extremes fail. The Stoic man, however, understands balance. He doesn't try to solve the conflict for her, nor does he let it throw him off course. He remains steady, choosing her but never needing her to complete him. He allows her independence to flourish, while also being the rock she can lean on when her emotions overwhelm her. I'll never forget the night she told me, "Sometimes I feel like I need you too much and it scares me." And for the first time, instead of trying to fix her fear, I simply said, "You don't need me, you choose me." And that's stronger. Her eyes softened, and in that moment she felt safe. Not because I took away her struggle, but because I didn't let it control me. Her weakness is this eternal conflict between wanting freedom and wanting connection. Your strength is showing her that love doesn't demand choosing one or the other. It allows both. When you embody this balance, you become the man who neither suffocates her nor abandons her, and that's the kind of man she will fight hardest to keep. Closing reflection. Now you see the 6 hidden weaknesses: the need for emotional anchoring, the craving for validation, the struggle with impulse, the fear of losing status, the inability to handle boredom, and the eternal tug of war